Loopline here. In this video I want to go over the contact form poster, which is pretty handy. Contact form is just where you go to a website, put in your name, email, subject, message, that sort of thing, and hit submit, and you can send it to that website owner. So a lot of people have asked for a video on this. People keep asking me questions, so here we go. First of all, let's look at a couple settings that can affect the contact form poster. Now, contact form poster and fast poster are like the same thing, literally. When you tick this box, it just changes a couple of names here, but they have the same setting controls. They use the same engine file type and that sort of thing. There's a couple of variances, but they're almost identical. So most of the time when you see a fast poster setting, it applies to the contact form poster too. Under connections, timeouts, and other settings, we can see the poster settings here that control both fast poster and contact form poster for connection settings. Timeouts as well for the poster, and then on the other tab, the poster min threads. What this does is if the poster gets below a certain number, like if I set this at 16 and I'm running 100 connections over here on the poster, something like that. When it gets down to 16, it'll just kill the remaining 16. This works really well if you're using the poster or contact form, the fast poster, for instance, with Automator. It doesn't really apply to contact form poster because at the time of this video that doesn't even work with the Automator, but it can be good to help things not get stuck in case there's a locked thread, that sort of thing. But it's important to note, if I have this turned up to like say 55 for instance, and I have my poster set to like 7, it's below 55. So this 8 here is below 55, so as soon as you hit start, it's going to stop immediately. So if you hit start on the contact form poster or fast poster and it just stops immediately, it's because of the harvester min thread. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And then the actual poster max page size here is going to apply to the contact form poster as well, so you can control that if you like, and that sort of thing. And then the global connect timeout is for everything. But once we're done in here, we can go to contact forms. Contact forms can use CAPTCHAs, so you can go to your settings up here and set up your actual CAPTCHA services under DCAPTCHA setup, or you can do it in the poster itself. And I have a couple of them set up in here. Pick your service, put in your username and password, hit update, and then you can select that service here, and you can do the balance and test it, that sort of thing. So I'm going to go to the contact form poster here, and now I got to load in some data. So I got to load in some names, emails, subjects, etc., messages, and the actual blogs to post to. So I'm going to show you here. Let's go to my website. And under contact up here, I have contact form, and you can see I need my name, email, that sort of thing. So I'm going to grab this, and we're going to message myself just so we can see that it works. Now you can load in a file, same as fast poster, or you can just hit this edit button here and paste in data, which is just what I'm doing and saving it back here. This is a clear button. I could also open a file here. For message, we'll just say, this is a great video. And for the subject, video messages. And for emails, I'm just going to make up some random nonsense. And for the name, I'll just put some generic Jim Bob, whatever. So once that's done, I'm going to hit start contact form poster. Now it's important to note, this is a good idea, very important to use proxies here, not public proxies, private proxies, or shared private proxies, whatever is what you want to use. You don't want to even use back connect proxies because that's going to lower success for posting, at least in my opinion. So normally this is important to use proxies. I'm not going to use proxies just because I'm posting to my own site, but you're going to want to load proxies here and use them. And once you have your proxies sorted and contact form, everything's loaded, we hit start contact form poster. And here we have our start, stop, pause, and proxies button. You can actually load proxies from here. It's so important they added a second option in case you forget. DCAPTCHA setup, that's the same screen we saw before. We can do it in the program or do it here. And that's set up. And so now I'm just going to hit start, and we can see it's reading it, processing, posting, and it recognized the contact form as a WordPress contact form, and it's successfully posted. And so all it did was go and load this page and put in this information here, and then let's see if it pops into my Outlook here, and here it is from Jim Bob, contact video messages, and we'll open it up here, and this is a great video. And so this is what it looks like when the end user gets it, however they have their template set up. You can see it, mine usually they'll have a tagline, and but they may not, and so some people won't know that you're using their contact form. But that's just something important to note. So that's there. This is the message, obviously, and then the subject and who it's from and the actual email address. So that's the contact form poster, what it does, how it works functionally. Now let's look at a couple other things here, because there's a couple of ways we can work this to make it work good for us. So we saw that it was doing that where it recognized the contact form up here. So if we go into platforms here, we can see, if we scroll down here to contact forms, that it comes, at the time of this video anyways, supporting two contact forms out of the box, which is WordPress Contact Form 7 and WordPress Secure Contact Form. And a huge amount of these, a huge amount of sites out there use these contact forms because they're popular plugins for WordPress, and WordPress is everywhere. So that will help you out get it started, but you can build your own in. So let's talk about that. If we go here, and I'm just going to pull up the URL. I did cite scrapebox.com for it, and then the word training to bring up this URL here, because I'm not sure where on the site it's linked to, because it's for training platforms. So to train a platform, what you're going to look for is, we're going to go in here, and let me pull it up. So this is my Scrapebox folder here, and under configuration and platforms is where I see all the various platforms here, and this is WP Contact and WP Secure. So these are the text files that it's talking about in here, and you can train your own platforms and use a variety of things to do that. And I've trained platforms before. I've talked to other people who have trained platforms. It's not that hard, but you do need to have some basic understanding of HTML and looking at the source code of the page and that sort of thing. So basically you can go through here and it'll walk you through actually training platforms. Some interesting things to note, at least I think, is that you can do a page must contain, that sort of thing, and page must not contain. But one of the really cool things that you can do is load a URL from a anchor text here, which I think is super handy. So I can load URL from anchor text, and this locates a given anchor text on the page and then grabs the URL and loads that target page, and it'll skip from these types of things if you have those in there. Now what we can do with that is we can pop that in the page, and look, it has to go under the setup section. So if I wanted to do that, I would do load URL from anchor, and let's just do it so you can see what I'm talking about, and put it in here. Where'd it go? So under the setup section here, just want to make sure I'm clear that you guys see this here. The setup section, we're going to go here, and it can pretty much go anywhere in there. What we're going to do is I'm going to use the word contact here. So basically that's just now going to look for the word contact. So if the word contact is in an anchor text, then if it's contact or contact us, that sort of thing, what it's going to do is it's going to load this page. You can see the word contact is in the URL, which it is contact, contact us, that sort of thing. And on English sites anyways, it could vary based off of other languages, of course, but on English sites it's very common to have the word contact in the anchor text in some way, shape, or form. So you can look at a lot of sites and you can make up some words here, and you can also do things like this, where to do contact, and you can put the pipe key and contact us, that sort of thing. But I'm just going to do the word contact. And now what we're going to do here is I'm going to save this WP contact form, and generally it's a good idea to do this without the contact poster running. And so I'm going to go, and we're going to feed Scrapebox the main home page, and then it's going to go to the contact page, find that page, and submit the form. So let's just do that real quick to see that it works, and we'll just feed it the main home page now. So if I have a list of root domains, I can do that. Which can be really handy, because if you have a list of websites and you don't know what page the contact form's on, this is one way that you can get it. So it's reading it, it's processing it, it found it, and it's posting. Success, away we go. Because we edited that, and now it can search for, so maybe I came in on this sign up for notifications, or came in on free tools, or whatever, as long as it has that word contact, which so happens to be, and see, here's that message just sent again. It happens to be up here. It also, a lot of times, so I have contact right here. A lot of places will have it down in the footer as well, a lot of companies that I've seen. So getting those keywords and loading it from an anchor can really be great. If you don't have that, you do need to load in directly the actual contact form page. So if I load in this page here and it doesn't have a contact form, it's going to fail. So you could use the link extractor add-on to extract the internal links of a page, and I have a video on that, how to crawl through the site. I can link to it below, and extract all the internal pages, and then you probably want to remove duplicates there, but you could use the link extractor to get all the internal pages of the site. Then you could use the page scanner add-on to go and scan for, because it'll have the mask built in for the contact form, so you could scan all those pages to see which page has a contact form, and then you could keep that list, and then you could go and post to those. But obviously if you can make it work with this, where Scrapebox does all that for you in one step, that makes a lot more sense to me. But worst case, you could go ahead and do the platforms mask, and it will pull up any kind of WordPress things. You could build in your own platform looking for the contact forms, because you can see if we go back here that it has wrong notepad file. If we go back, we can see that in order for it to have this sort of thing, the form must contain WPCF7. So basically, we can just look for that in a form, or we could look for something else out of here that we can pull out and we can make a footprint. I'm not going to go into how to do that because I have a video on that, but you could make your own footprint in the page scanner and scan all the pages for it. A good word of advice is that you want to go ahead when you got these things, we can scrape for them. We could load in our keywords, go to platforms, tick off that we want these right here, and scrape for those based off of our keywords. But it's a good idea when it's done to go to remove duplicate domains, or at least URLs, and then figure this out, because if you have a page, which I've seen, where the contact form is on the sidebar and you scrape 37 URLs from that website, or worst like 537 URLs, and you hit go, Scrapebox is going to post to that contact form, and it's going to find it on all 500 plus pages of that site, and so they're going to get 500 and something messages, and that's going to look like spam because it's going to come into their email box. Remember, it gets delivered via email, and then they're just going to hit delete, and they might start griping and complaining at you and that sort of thing. So you want to be careful that you don't overkill this. A super great way that you can do this as well is if you use the Yellow Pages Scraper plugin from Scrapebox. So now I can get very specific, because Yellow Pages has great keyword data. So now I can get very specific data from, like, whatever my keyword happens to be. If I'm trying to sell lawn care services, or maybe I'm trying to sell solar rooftops, or maybe I'm trying to sell, I don't know, heating and air conditioning services, whatever, it doesn't matter. You can get those categories, type in your keywords, and Yellow Pages is really good about categorizing those things, whereas Google is a lot broader, as well as the other search engines. So if I type in, lawn care services or snow removal, or I don't know, whatever, it's going to give me a really broad range. It's not going to necessarily give me, and the geolocale may be off depending on how you do it, but when you do the Yellow Pages, data is really specific. So now I can type up a specific message just saying, hey, I'm a local business, I do heating and air conditioning, and do you want to do business with me, or can I sell you something, whatever. But you can be specific with your product to a particular niche, and it's going to go over better that way. As a general rule, submitting contact forms if you're trying to sell something anyways than it is if you're just like generally blasting everything out there, because 99% of the things you get might not be relevant with a general message. So those are some tips on how you can use the contact form poster, how you can build in your own, really taking a little while to learn the different things that you can do with the training of platform. And it talks about guest books and other things, because this is the same setup that you use for Fast Poster, because Fast Poster and Contact Form Poster are like 99.9% the same. So you can train custom platforms or Fast Poster too, but you can also use these things for the Contact Form Poster. And if you just learn a few of these things and just read through the list so that you understand the available options of what you can do, it's really amazing to see the flexibility that you can get with the Contact Form Poster. I thought I should also throw out that typically a shorter message works best. I've done a fair amount of testing on this, different businesses I've been working with, and I'm still doing testing to dial in a lot of things and really get it optimum so I can go broad scale. But basically, I found that a shorter message works best. The more targeted you can make it, the better, but you also have to be careful, because if you do really specific things and you don't send it out there, like let's say you talking about how you love the color yellow on their website, and they don't have any yellow on their website, but you're selling a product revolving around the color yellow, so you say it. And I know it's a stupid example, but the point is if you say something in a message to them that isn't applicable to their website, they automatically know that you're not really looking at their website, and they're just going to can your message, and they may even start complaining and that sort of thing, and that can get hairy if you put a phone number in there and an email address where you actually want to work with customers, and so now you're getting phone calls, or if you're doing it for somebody else, they're getting phone calls or they're getting emails and that sort of thing. So you want to be careful in that way and do some small batch tests to kind of iron that sort of thing out. Another great thing to keep in mind for the contact form poster is if someone comes back and says, hey, can you stop, contacting me, that sort of thing, it's important to put them on a blacklist and not mail them. So I just keep a notepad file of it, and then when I go each run, when I load up my list, I load it in here, I scrape it up, load it in here, I go to import and select URL list to compare, and I select that URL list that I have stored. So these are my URLs I scraped, and then in Notepad I just have a list that I store up of URLs of people that have said, hey, don't contact me, a blacklist kind of thing. And then when you just import and compare list and select that other file with the blacklist, it'll take out any URLs that are in here. And I actually do it on the domain level because you may wind up scraping a URL you haven't scraped before, and that way you just toss their domain into a list and you compare it on domain level. It'll remove any URLs from that domain totally from the list, because you don't want to keep hitting people that have asked you not to email them and that sort of thing, obviously. And then you can export your successes when you're done, successful and not successful, and keep them for later. One thing you can do is run through a list with the things that it's supported out of the box. Then you can take all your non-successful ones, and those you can start opening in a web browser or working with in bulk, scanning them for footprints, and then find out the ones that you have in there that you could possibly then build with a new platform for. At least that's what I do. Go through and look through the failed ones to see what I can do to build new platforms for. Another thing you can do, which I also do, is I have an Automator instance running on a server, and I just load up a bunch of keywords and I keep it stocked up with a bunch of files, and it runs in a loop where the Automator will grab a set of keywords, scrape Google for them, and then export the results, and then grab another set of keyword on another premium plugin up here. That way I always have an Automator running 24/7 scraping, and then I come back in batches and manually post to them, clean off any blacklists, clean off. I actually filter out any ones I've posted to before, so I export my successful, and for new scrapes I import, compare the blacklist on the domain level, and then my previous successful ones. Now you may want to post to those successful people 2 or 3 times in a campaign, like once a week for 3 weeks or something like that, or maybe you want to come back to them. I date everything that I post, so if I want to come back, and post to them once a quarter, or post to them, and then if there's a busy season with the business I'm working with, then I go and post, like maybe Christmas time. I go and post in October, November, send them a message so they can prepare, and I can try to sell them something at the time they're most likely to buy from. And I think it's important, lastly, to mention that these are typically actual businesses. So you might get a hold of some random person who has a website that stuck it up and has a contact form on it, or that sort of thing. But for the most part, people aren't going to go through the trouble of saying, okay, here's how you can contact me, if they're not a business. Otherwise, they've connected with you on Facebook or something. So you're marketing to businesses. These are maybe small business owners might be getting the emails, maybe a secretary is getting an email, or whoever, a salesperson, that sort of thing, whoever deals with leads. So you don't want to, if you type up a message and try to send them a pharmacy link to buy Viagra, it's not going to work. And I've done tests on this just specifically because I wanted to see, and I got a lot of complaints, and I got some click-throughs and exactly 0 sales. I did like a cheesy offer just to try to find out. On the flip side, when I've worked with businesses that try to sell other businesses relevant products, they've actually done orders that have been hundreds of dollars. In fact, sometimes I've had it go through, like I had one case where somebody got it, sent the email to management, and management sent it down to the purchasing person that says, hey, if you need this product, use these guys, and they needed that product. So then they went over to the business and made a purchase, and it was all turned around really fast, and that sort of thing. And so I even stick in there, maybe you want to put a link in there to we have one campaign where we do has a link to a mailing list where they can get a coupon. So if they don't if they don't need your services right now, I say, hey, if you need the services right now, contact me, let me know. If you don't need my services right now, maybe save my contact information for later in case you do need them. Or if you want a coupon, here, go do this, and then you can have them join a mailing list like Aweber or whatever mailing list platform you use. And then you can market to them over time with emails and that sort of thing. So, but again, keeping it short. Also, stereotypically, if you start including links to products, like if you put in there, hey, here, go get a coupon, that's one thing. But if you start saying, hey, this, go buy this, and it's, a Viagra type thing, or, some sort of, all those cheeseball affiliate type things. I'm not saying you can't do affiliate stuff in here. I think there's probably some really great affiliate stuff. In fact, I'm going to do some affiliate stuff for businesses that would buy it, and you would get a sale and not have to worry about anything else, and that's great. Assuming your affiliate doesn't care that you use, promote them in this way. But you don't want to do, if it looks like cheeseball spam and you start putting a lot of links in there, that's the things that tend to go to the trash can. So keeping it short, keeping it relevant links. I mean, relevancy really is the thing. I mean, people want to buy stuff. People want to buy services that they need, and they don't mind that it comes into their inbox if they really need it. But they don't want to be sold. They don't want to be sold something they don't need, or they don't want to be scammed. And there's too many scammers out there, that are just trying to collect money, and people are pretty good at that sort of thing these days because spam is prevalent everywhere. So don't look like spam. If you look good, your chances are significantly higher, and the more on target you can be, your chances are significantly higher. And so that is the contact form poster along with a few insights, and that's how it works. Thanks for watching this Scrapebox video. For more Scrapebox videos, click the subscribe button on your screen or click the subscribe button down below.